what would it normally sound like for people? Na Sifti kehna, Na Karnai dena, Na Vekhan sunna, Na Jaapai Paravaar. Like, as in, maybe for someone they can do it like that and it could take them there, but I doubt it. Yeah. Like Jigar's standard 20 to 25 minutes on Japji Sahib he would spend every day. If you watch any of his videos, that's how he says the Japji Sahib panktiyan. Like if you listen to him, he'll be actually doing it like that. Na Jaapai Paravaar. Because it's Simran. It's taking you into the lapse of that one's remembrance. So, like I said, yes, we did vichar of it and that gets detailed, but it's once you've got a gist of what's being said and you're saying, oh, wow, there's no limits to what you're listening to. There's no limits to what you can hear. And you're actually, it's like you're saying this, but you're being blown away. And you're being just again and again. Is that how you read your Japji Sahib? Just thought I'd ask.
I try to.
You try to. Okay. Okay, so this is just a plug to try and do your Japji Sahib like that, okay? And if you don't, sort yourself out, come on. Because sometimes I do think it's so sad. Guru wants us to be there. Welcome to the Japji Sahib podcast. Today we'll be going through the 24th stanza of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's wisdom. We'll be talking about, is there a limit to what God has created? And if there is no limit, how can that benefit us? But today, before we get into anything, I want to introduce everyone to Daraspreet Kaur, all the way from Australia, for our podcast, not just for our podcast, but Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So we're going to get straight into it. The first pankti Guru Nanak Dev Ji says to us is Ant Na Sifti, Keheaai Na Ant. So if we just look at some of these literal translations first. So Maharaj is saying Ant Na. So Ant can be translated to limit and then Ant Na. So very simply Maharaj is saying having no limit. No limit to what? First thing that is brought to our attention is Ant Na Sifti. So Sift translates to
praise.
Yes. So praise. So there's no limit to that one's praise, to Parmeshar's, to that creator's praise. And then it says Keheaai Na Ant, that it cannot be said in full extent, the praise of that one. Like we can't capture the praise of that one with our words. But what I wanted to do today is that what we often do is we talk about praising God, and we even say that Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, and I've spoke about this before, that Gurbani says that Kal Yug Mein Kirtan Pardana, that the mukh, the chief way, the highest way, however you want to word it, in this time is Kirtan. But you know, Sabanji, do you do Kirtan?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. So you do Kirtan, and what we're really doing is you're singing Guru's Bani, right? And it's not necessary that when you're singing the Guru's Bani that you've actually done Kirtan. Does that make sense?
Because we haven't actually sung his praises.
Yeah. But you may have, but you have to then connect your surti to the words that you are singing. And it's only if you actually go into the state of praise are you going to get the fruits of praise. So if somebody still feels pretty dry after singing a shabad, singing the Guru's words with an amazing instrument, and then they still feel disconnected, that means they've just done the action of singing with an instrument. They've borrowed the Guru's words, but they haven't actually praised. Yeah. But if we praise, that will actually start to shape and change our brain, and it'll start to shed the effect of all our negative karam. So let's do that now then. Yes. So if we go back to Na Sifti, so what's the first thing that comes to your mind? And everybody can do this at home as well then. Let's make it real. So if there's no limit to that one's praise, but Guru is bringing our attention to that one's praise, so let's start off with that. What's a praise for that one that comes to your mind right now, a reason for that one's praise? You said it would be all right if I put you on the spot, by the way.
For me personally, just the fact that he's allowed us to feel, to experience, to see everything that is around us. So for me, as I've mentioned to you before, when I sit down with my cup of coffee in the morning, and
is there any particular coffee you drink, or just asking?
Just a good one. So when I sit down with a cup of coffee, and firstly, just being able to taste it, that Maharaj has allowed us to be able to appreciate the taste. Secondly, being able to look out my backyard into the nature and see that Maharaj has given me the eyesight to be able to see, and then he's put so much beauty out into the world that I can appreciate that. That's for me, that's me singing his praises.
That's beautiful. And I think that will help so many people to open their mind and broaden their perspective, that there's so many ways that we can be praising Vaheguru, Parameshwar, and what a beautiful way to be able to do that and just be very present to the fact that we've got the ability to taste. I'm sure, in the Vismad Pauriyan, is there one about Swad as well? So here it says that Vismad, Saad Laghe Prani, and this can often be taken in a negative way, but Saad Laghe means attached, and Saad means taste. Prani is us. So this can be taken in this way that, taste plays such a huge part of this human experience. Yeah, imagine now if you didn't have that ability and you didn't experience what it feels like and how it makes you feel when you taste that coffee. Like, would you have the same drive to drink it? It just wouldn't be there, would it?
No.
And so we take some of these things that are part of creation for granted. And I think and people think like, is that even a thing? Like, why is that even a thing? Why is it? But what we don't realize is it's these small things that we're missing out in life that is causing us today so much distress, because we're constantly on the chase, and we're not getting this time to just sit and be present. And that's why if we can be just present even to that taste, that Vismad Saad Laghe Prani, that we've been given this ability to, and attach here isn't in a negative, it's not said in a negative way, right? So it could really help us to just have this human experience. And instead of people trying to run away from it, it's only Maya if it consumes us and it takes us away from the remembrance of that one. But if that very taste of something is allowing you to be in the remembrance of the one, then it's actually become a stepping stone for you to be present to that one. So I think your message to the Sangat is, make sure you drink your coffee whilst being present.
The thing that also helps me is when I am able to experience these things and appreciate them, I make that offering to my Guru. So if I'm enjoying the taste of coffee, or if I'm enjoying looking at some beautiful flowers or the trees, I offer the beauty of that experience to my Guru, that this is for you.
That's amazing. I remember a little, Bhai Veer Singh Ji writes about this, and Prince Prasad Veer Singh, where they say that when Bhai Mardana Ji and they sat in the jungles and saying to Guru Nanak Dev Ji ke, tanu sachi tanu nahi ਭੁੱਖ ਲੱਗਦੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਭੋਜਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਗੈਰ ਹੀ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, And that, like, really? You don't get hungry and you just... Sorry, I'm not translating for you. I'm not. I know you can speak Punjabi, but it's for the Sangat. So everything we say in Punjabi will be translating. So, and then Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, "Ke nahi mardanya mainu bahut jane shikaunde hai." And he said, "There's so many people that feed me."
That's beautiful.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji said. They said, there's so many people that have got so much love for me. And they said that before they eat or whilst they eating, from their heart, they are offering it to me as well. And they said, I actually get to experience all these different tastes. And Guru Amar Das Ji actually showed the Sangat, or one of the, I think they showed it was to Akbar, I could be wrong, but it was to either the Sikh or the Sangat, where Guru Amar Das Ji actually showed, just, because cheez kai viri pragat karni pendi hai. You have to show people the physical thing. And even though all of these things are very subtle and it's at a different level, but then the Guru even showed little bits in his mouth that he's receiving. And saying that I don't only eat sadda, because they were saying you eat very plain. Guru Amar Das Ji's diet was very plain, what they ate. They used to eat 7 different types of grain.
Okay.
And 7 ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਨਾਜ ਛਕਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. ਉਹਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਦਲੀਆ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਾ ਕੇ. ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ the Sangat would say that so bland, how do you eat it? And they said the same. They said, so much people feed me, Guru Amar Das Ji said, and I received that. And it's just like ਜਦੋਂ Guru Amar Das Ji ਨੇ Guru Ramdas Ji ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ Lahore, when they sent, when Guru Amar Das Ji sent Guru Ramdas Ji, when they were still Bhai Jetha Ji, when they sent them back to Akbar, because he had many questions about Sikhi, about the Guru's way. And it wasn't really him questioning it. It was other people that were feeding things into Akbar's ears. And Guru Amar Das Ji says, to Guru Ram Das Ji, to Bhai Jetha Ji, look, they've got all these questions. And I think you're the one that's capable to be able to, whatever doubts they have got, for you to remove their doubts for them. And we should do that more often as well. Generally as Sikhs, hoye 71 miloh mere pai, dubda dur karo ho levalai. The Guru says that you should come together. Hoye 71 miloh mere pai, come together as these brothers, not as in brothers in that sense, but where you're connected through the Guru, and whatever disputes you have, whatever doubts you have, you should come together and work through them lovingly. So they sent Guru Ram Das Ji to Akbar's Darbar, to his court, and then there were Qazis there that then questioned they put many questions forward. And when all that was done, they were satisfied. Akbar was so happy with all the answers and all the doubts that were dispelled for him. And when they were on their way back, and it was around June time, May-June time, and what season is it?
Mango season.
Yeah, mango season. So udo ਅੰਬ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. And ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੇਖ ਲਿਆ ਕਿਤੇ ਦੁਕਾਨ ਤੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ ਅੰਬ ਵੇਚਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਆ. And they saw that somebody selling these mangoes. And you may have experienced this when you're besotted with somebody, that when you see something, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਯਾਦ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ. So I know I remember even with Indra, with my wife. So when I used to first go, say, to the Gurdwara Sahib, I used to go to Nanak Sahib and listen to the Kirtan. And if she wasn't there, and if she was absent, and even before marriage, I remember I would be in the Darbar, but my mind would be saying, oh my God, like, she would love this Kirtan if she was here, if she was present to be able to listen to this. She would take so much laugh from it as well, benefit so much from it. So in that same way, ਜਦੋਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਡਾਢਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਨੈਚੁਰਲੀ ਭਾਈ ਜੇਠਾ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਯਾਰ ਜੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਅੰਬ ਛਕਣ if Guru Amardas Ji could eat such mangoes, they look so beautiful, ripe, and they must be so sweet. And they had this little bag, ਉਦੋਂ ਕੱਪੜਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬੈਗ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਨਾ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਦਾ ਬੈਗ we need to go back to that by the way ਹਨਾ and get rid of these plastic bags so ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾ ਲਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਗਰਮੀ ਸੀਗੀ and it starts to seep through because of the heat, the mangoes, the juice starts to seep through. ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ that ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ. By the time I get back to Guru Amardas Ji, there's going to be nothing left of the umb. So they took the umb and ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕੀਤੀ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਅੰਬ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਰੱਖਣ ਲੱਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕਰ ਲੈਣਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ. ਪਰ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਬੀਰ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਰਾਮ ਕਬੀਰਾ ਏਕ ਭੇ ਹੈ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਸਕੇ ਪਛਾਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਕੋਈ ਪਛਾਣ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ ਰਾਮ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ ਕਬੀਰ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ who is Ram who is that one that's immersed in everything and who is Kabir and for them in that moment Guru Ramdas Ji and Guru Amardas Ji is one so they start to eat the mangoes. And when they go back, Guru Amardas Ji's first thing they asked is, how did it go at the darbar, at the court of Akbar? Guru Ramdas Ji said it was perfect. Everything worked out. They were satisfied with all the answers. And Guru Amardas Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ਾਬਾਸ਼ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਤੂ ਨਹੀਂ even though ਇਹ ਬਾਣੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਉਚਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਗਈ because this is Guru Arjan Dev Ji's ਬਾਣੀ but the Gurus lived these words so Guru Ramdas Ji in that moment is not saying these exact words but saying this ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕਾਰਜ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ Guru Amardas Ji is only because I said when every question they asked me I said I don't know the answer and I asked you to answer ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਤੂ ਨਹੀਂ and this is I don't know how that happened this is your doings ਤੇਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਤੂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜੋਗ ਕੀਤੋਈ yes you made this body worthy of answering but you've done that somehow ਹਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਨਿਰਗੁਣਿਆਰੇ because me this ego that couldn't have done it because the ego doesn't have any qualities Ko gun nahi. And what did you do? When I asked for your help in that moment, you took pity. Appe tars. First thing that happens is tars onda pehla. How do we know we're getting closer to Parmeshwar? ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੂਗਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਦੇ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਦੇਖੂੰਗਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਤਰਸ ਆਊਗਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ So I know if I'm getting closer to Vaheguru, it's because when I saw you suffering, then I had that tars. And tars is when my inside, like pity, it's got its own connotation. So I didn't want to use that term. It's tars is more like when I see and I go,
feel your pain.
Yeah, I feel you, man. And this is empathy. This isn't compassion yet. This is empathy. This builds to compassion. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੁਛ ਚੁੱਭਿਆ ਨਾ something pained me inside ਤਰਸ ਪਈ ਹੋਈ and then ਤਰਸ ਪਿਆ ਮਹਿਰਾਮਤ ਹੋਈ and then here the mehramat is when I felt that then my heart said I want to take that suffering away from you that's then the mehramat and then whatever action comes out of that mehramat is then dharma. Whatever comes from that. ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸੱਜਣ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਾਪ ਸੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤੇ but we have to go through that process ਹੈ ਨਾ So you make yourself vulnerable. You put your hands up and say, my ego is going to make a mess of this. I need some grace. So I'm sure Guru Amar Das Ji sitting there thinking, very impressive, you know, all these answers, you know. ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਰ ਬਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਰਾਸਤੇ 'ਚ ਕੁਛ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਖਸ਼ ਦਿਓ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ anything else? They said, Guru Ram Das says, no, everything's done. Like, I've told you everything that. They said, no. They said, you've missed out the main part. What happened en route? They said, I messed up. I ate a mango that I bought for you. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ. They said, I got it. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿੱਠਾ ਸੀ. It was so sweet. And if we just go back to Na Sifti, like, there is no limit to that one sifat. You know, people sit there and they say, I don't know what to be grateful for. Because this is what this is about. Maharaj ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਮਾਰਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਅੰਤ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ what you can praise ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ for. Like, ਅੰਤ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ. You just shared something from your morning. So many people will just completely miss that. That opportunity for that cup of coffee, looking at the nature, offering it to your Guru to be an opportunity of praise for Akal Purkh. Maharaj ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਤ ਨਹੀਂ. Like, you're saying, I can't see, I can't look for anything. I can't find anything. And I think that's the podcast done on Na Sifti. Do you really need to say anything else? We got all of that from Na Sifti. And this is why I say again and again, never mind one line, half a line can liberate you. If we just lived by that.
To be thankful in each moment.
And really praising Parameshwar. Because when you praise Parameshwar, the ego cannot be there. ਹੋ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ. And it's all connected. When you're in that Simran, because ਇਹਨੂੰ Simran ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. When you're praising Parameshwar, when you're so thankful, and you're just thinking like, wow, look at this, able to taste this. I just so love that you said that. I'm able to taste this because people think, it's Maya. They don't get it and they remain in duality. But ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਤਾ, ਉਹ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਆਊਗਾ? ਵਾਹ. ਹਨਾ? And then, you know, when you're actually in, when you're saying wah, there's no separation then. You are with that. ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਸਲ ਵਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਕੋਈ ਵਿਛੋੜਾ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ. ਉੱਦਾਂ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਓ, ਪਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਹੀ ਵਾਹ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਵਿਛੋੜਾ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ. ਉੱਥੇ ਬਸ ਉਹੀ ਆ ਫਿਰ. So that process in English is, let's go all the way back to the cup of coffee, right? You was in the full awareness of the taste, the ability that you were able to taste. And that thankfulness went back to the Creator. And it's like, wow, thank you. But you don't even have to say the words. You're in the state of appreciation. It's a state. You sit there, and then that's your sifat, your praise. And from that equals Simran, meaning you're in the remembrance of that one. I remember when you're in the remembrance of that one, in that moment, then Prabh ka Simran garbana bas hai. You're not in the cycle in that moment. Yeah? And that will take you to that va. And the va is that one. You're not remembering the one, then you're with the one. है ना? So let's go to the next pankti. Ant na sifti, ਕਹਿਣ ਨਾ ਅੰਤ, ਅੰਤ ਨਾ ਕਰਨੇ ਦੇਣ ਨਾ ਅੰਤ. So if we just, I think we've done a great job of already translating these panktiyan. So this one will just translate literally. Ant na karne. Karne here is everything you've done and you are doing. Basically your creation. And there's no limit to it. Deen na ant. There's no limit to what you are providing and giving, the gifts that you have given. Ant na vekhan, Sunan na ant. There's no limit to what that one can see and hear. When you hear that there's no limit to what that one sees and hears, we can switch that as well. There's no limit to what can be seen and heard for us. But let's switch it back round. There's no limit to what that one hears and sees. What comes to mind if we translate it that way? For you, how would that line speak to you? Just knowing that.
I'm not entirely sure, but I could probably say that I'll tell you something about me. When my journey started, I used to think that through doing Simran and reading Bani and trying to connect to Maharaj, that I would chase a mystical experience.
Mm-hmm.
That whatever is happening right now is so ordinary, but surely there's something more that I need to experience to know that he exists. But what clicked for me was the fact that how is it anything but ordinary, the fact that I can see so much around me already? Because the eyes are not my creation. The ability to be able to see is not something that I've done. This is something that he's done and that I praise him for. Mm. But how is it normal just to be able to see all these different colors, all these different forms and figures and all of that? So in my understanding, the pankti that ant na vekhan, Sunan na ant, that there is no limit to the things that can be seen and heard through that consciousness.
Mm.
But please expand more.
I wouldn't want to. I think it's such an amazing way of looking at it. And I wouldn't even call it accordingly to your understanding. It's accordingly to your experience. Experience, or let's say accordingly to your realization in that moment, from being in the illusion of chasing a mystical experience to awakening in that moment and saying, oh wow, look at what's been captured here by these eyes. And just that. And you can just sit in that for that moment. And that's amazing. Every moment then can become the remembrance of that one. Just sarbanan, Aaap Vekhan hara. That through the eyes of everyone, that one is looking. And then you know that you are looking and you're seeing all of this, and there's no limit in the sense that of what that one is doing. So if I was to take that in a slightly different way for myself, this really helps me in the sense that because there's no limit to what Waheguru can see and hear, that every time I have a negative thought that I ruminate on, meaning that, because you have thoughts, we're not in control of that, what pops up. I don't mean that comes and that goes, but the one that we hold on to and we keep circling in our mind again and again. And that could be, say if it's a really negative thought, and that negative thought about myself, that you're not good enough, in comparing myself to other people. And then sometimes it clicks to say that he's listening to this. That one is present to this, because you can't escape from that one hearing this. Is this what you want that one to be exposed to? Is this the experience you want to have of life? Is this how you want to be living this moment? And this thought alone is going to be creating its own energy. And I can't take that away because there is no limit to what that one is hearing. And that can really help me to just be silent. And then there's this line I was thinking that was coming to me as I was pondering on this morning, that Ant na Vekhan, Sunan na Ant, that Parmeshwar is just responding to my thoughts and emotions.
How so?
So when something comes of an emotion, we start to so say if I kept thinking a certain thing, like I said, that type of negative thoughts about myself, that you're not good enough, that you can't do this, you can't do that, and that in itself, and that eventually I'll start to feel deflated and low. And then I'm thinking, and then people would often say, why is God making me feel like this? And then it's no, it's not that God's making me feel like this. God's just responding to my thoughts. This is just how God is listening to me and saying that if you think like that, this is a response. This is how your energy is going to be. You're going to start to feel low. So if God just responds to what God is listening to, then what do we want to be thinking about? How do we want to be thinking? Because God will respond to that. Try it.
So you're saying as in the thought that you have is then the response of that is going to come in the form of how you feel emotionally.
Yep.
That kind of energy that you have.
Yeah, the energy that I've created from being like that. And God doesn't discriminate. God just responds to whatever we are doing. So that helps me to stop that self-negative talk, because I think he's listening and he's going to respond.
I like how you said that, just that thought, that he's listening to that thought. And if with every breath, if we are offering all that to him, then do we really want to be offering that to him?
Yeah. And if we call God like our beloved, is that what we want our beloved to hear? Jada ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ? We ask, does God love me? When there's people that truly love us in this life, and you're being really negative to yourself, it's not nice for them to hear. And they don't want you to be treating yourself like that, do they? And it's the same for that consciousness of love that is inside of us? Is that what we want it to hear? And then if we go deeper into that, those thoughts are keeping us away from the love of that one. So, Ant Na Jaapai Paravaar Mant. So here we've done a fantastic job in translating it. So I'm going to read out those. So what we do in sometimes we'll just read out some of the translations that we've done. So there is no limit to perceiving what the intelligence of the one is. The details of how this intelligence works, we can never capture it all. There's no limit to it. You know, we sometimes talk and there'll be just so many things. We just don't quite know exactly how it works. How detailed it is, the way this is all functioning. Mm-hmm. So the Ant Na Jaapai we've translated here to perceive. And then Kya Man Mant, like the Man Mant of Akal Purkh we've translated to intelligence instead of simply mind, because then we'll start thinking about mind as in how our mind works. Mm-hmm. So Ant Na Jaapai Kita Akaar. And there's just, we can never perceive, there is no limit to what that one has created. And sometimes like we get stuck in so many things, just sitting there and just thinking that. It's like, just wow. I don't know if you ever do this. I actually sit sometimes and think, oh my God, we think we're so big shot. And like planet Earth is just this tiny little ball like spinning around amongst so much. There's so many other planets out there, universes out there. And then like it's just like, whoa. And then there's just this little Earth, this little, Baljit, and we sometimes get just stuck in our head. And it's just like, you just think, oh my God, this is crazy.
I remember going to an aquarium and seeing this tiny little seahorse, and just the amount of detail there was on his body, on the body parts, and just seeing at all those life forms and just thinking, wow, how much there is that he's created, and we tend to just get stuck in this little bubble around our life, that this is all that there is. And we just tend to be the main character in our own movie without actually just disregarding everything else that's happening around us.
And we've come from all those life forms.
Yeah.
It's because of that one's intelligence, that Mant is how we've evolved to this today. Through however that intelligence works, going through all those different forms, we've evolved to this. Ant Na Jaapai Paravaar. So Maharaj is saying that there's no limit to what is, we cannot perceive what is beyond, what's the line from here to there. It's just so vast, everything is. And when we read this, a lot of this is more of done in a form of Simran when we read it. So it's not necessarily getting so caught into the details of what's being said, like what does it mean to be bara, like on the other side of something. It's not that, it's just like allowing your mind to just go, whoa, 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 it's Ant Na Jaapai Paravaar. So when you were to read something like this, it would be, you would start off with saying Ant Na Sifti. So you're already in that state of like, oh, so you literally, like Guru Nanak Dev Ji is just saying, look, Ant Na Sifti, Kehna Ant, Ant Na Karnai Na Ant Na Vekhan, Sunan Na Ant. As you're saying this, you're already in that state of Simran. So you're there and thinking, so even though we're doing vichar on it, but when it's actually being there, it's Ant Na Jaapai Kya Man Mant. It's that emphasis. And Ant Na Jaapai Kita Akaar. So if you look at the way Akaar is spelt with that Kanna to give you that feeling of the vastness of the creation. It's that Akaar. And in of itself, it takes you into a state of remembrance. It's Na Jaapai Paravaar. I can never know and perceive and know that one's limits to what is here and beyond and anything. Is that how you read your Japji, Sahib? Just thought I'd ask.
I try to.
You try to. Okay. Okay, so this is just a plug to try and do your Japji, Sahib like that, okay? And if you don't, sort yourself out. Come on. Because sometimes I do think it's so sad. Like, Guru wants us to be there. Yeah. And then what would it normally sound like for people? Like, as in, maybe for someone they can do it like that and it could take them there. But I doubt it. Yeah. Like Jagad's standard 20 to 25 minutes on Japji Sahib he would spend every day. And if you watch any of his videos, that's how he says the Japji Sahib panktiyan. Like if you listen to him, he'll be actually doing it like that. Na Jaapai Paravaar. Because it's Simran. It's taking you into the laps of that one's remembrance. So, like I said, yes, we did vichar of it and that gets detailed, but it's once you've got a gist of what's being said and you're saying, oh, wow, there's no limits to what you're listening to. There's no limits to what you can hear. And you're actually, it's like you're saying this, but you're being blown away. And you're being just again and again. And then you're like, Na Jaapai Paravaar, Karan Kete Bil-laahi. Like the translation's already come forward, hasn't it? As you say it like that. And Bil-laahi, we've translated simply to struggling, but the word in of itself is describing a state somebody gets into. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਹੋਗਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਿੱਲ ਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ. And that's when somebody's really suffering. ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਅੰਦਰ ਬੈਲ ਪਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ. And then it's like when somebody's wailing from inside in pain. And that's what Maharaj is saying. Karan Kete Bil-laahi. So many people are struggling to know that one's limits, but they cannot be known. That otherwise it wouldn't be Vaheguru. Taake ant na paae Jaahi. Maharaj saying that uda ant tusi nahi pa sakde. You cannot sit there and fathom and work it all out. You cannot. Like that's an illusion. Yeah. And that's why yesterday I put a voice note in to the group. But you didn't listen to it. Terrible. Yeah, so my dear student here didn't bother to listen to my voice note. Okay, look, fair enough. It was 6 minutes long, so I get it. All right. But basically, I'll tell you what I said in there, right?
I would appreciate that.
Look, Maharaj is saying, we're trying to figure it all out. Constantly trying to figure it all out. Right? So we had a lesson yesterday. We were talking about the Karam philosophy again. How it works. Action, reaction, cause and effect. This and that. And there's a ball of energy, like how does it all work? How will it all get rid of? What is it? And I just thought, at the end of the day, after all of that, I thought, as in, how do I feel after that? I thought, not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel in a state of joy. And we get caught out so much doing exactly what Maharaj says you cannot do. Trying to figure it all out. How does Karam work? What is the action? What is karma? What is reaction? What is this? What is that? Are we going to escape from the cycle, birth or death? What does it mean to be free? What doesn't it? And we're constantly trying to get it, work it out. And I thought, oh my God, man, what's the point of this? And then it just clicked. all we have to do is live a life of sift. Just do it. Just do that. And whatever it is, however it is, like, don't try and figure it out. As in, do the thing that is allowing you to be present. Do that thing that is allowing you to go, just that is taking you there to, because that's what Guru's saying. Like, that's life. Like, that is life. To be in a state of vismad. To the swad that is lagya hoya. Yeah. That swad that has been given to us. You know, for a purpose. To be, just be there. Vismad. Bok lagi, like, kya kamal ya tu banaya. Kamal, karamat. Qaim, Kareem. Tu kamal ya. That's it. That's life.
Yeah.
That is it. Just be there.
Yeah. Because I have noticed that, especially when we are studying and looking into this, we can get really caught up. But Guru's already said that you can try to understand it. But you can't really.
But, like, you know, Panji, thank you for bringing that up. And literally, and then Maharaj continues that throughout Gurbani. That's why they're saying, Na Karan Kete Bil-laahi. They're saying, Na Jaapai Paravaar Mant. Like, how that one's mind is working. Like, you ain't gonna get it. But what can you do? You can bloody sit there and sip that coffee and say, wow. You can look at the wind. You can't look at the wind. You can feel the breeze and just go, wow. That's what we can do. And that will take us out of just all the things that are holding us back. That, remember I said to you the negative thoughts, and those thoughts could be of hatred. Is it that when you're in that state, when you're feeling thoughts of resentment towards somebody, can you feel at the same time, like, it sounds silly, doesn't it? So let's just do that, what is keeping us there. Then we don't need to figure it out how it works. We'll never figure it out anyway. You know what we will do? Jabli. Jabliyan marni aapa. Seriously, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into answering the counter arguments, because that's just as in questions could come up in people's minds. I'm sure I've answered them all in the other podcasts. So if there's a question that's come up and you think, oh, but what about this? What about that? Watch one of the other podcasts. Iho ant na Jaanai Koe. You're not going to know it. The limits.
Yep.
Trying to find out the limits to how Karam works, Maharaj says you're not going to know it. Do what is naturally allowing you to be in that presence. That's all we need to know. We just need to focus on what we need to do. Yeah? Be in praise. Bohata Keheaai Bohata Hoe. I'm going to read this one out because there was a lot of grace when we translated this. So this, I've never been satisfied with the way this has been translated before. Bohata Keheaai Bohata Hoe. And this is what we've done. The more you describe the one's qualities, because that's what we're trying to do, Hannah? When we're trying to, like, get to the limit, get it all, understand it all, how everything works. The more you realize their greatness of the qualities of the makeup of this creation exceeds your words. It's never going to be enough. There's always going to be more to it. You're never going to capture it in full. Yeah. Vaddaa Saahib Oocha Thaao. And what we do know is, par jehda Sahib hai bahut vadda hai. That one is so great. Sahib literally means master. But if you think about it, what is the master? Like what is something that is the master of everything? Is Oocha Thaao, the highest, is that one's place? What is that one's place? And what makes that one the master? Is because that one is Anand. That one's place isn't a physical place. Even in any subtle realm, it's not a physical place. It is Anand. That's the master of everything, isn't it? That pure bliss of that stillness. That when you're in Va, if you are aware of it, you're in pure stillness. There's no thoughts. It's nothing. It's just that. There's no separation. There's no duality. It is just that. And that is the Oocha Thaao. Anand is the Oocha Thaao. Vaheguru is Va. And that is the master of everything. Because everything else is a cycle. A never-ending one. Everything else, there is nothing else that will satisfy us. And the pleasure of everything will come to an end. But this is the master of all, is that stillness and the Anand that isn't based on anything. It just is. That's the Oocha Thaao. Do you want to go there? Just I thought I'll ask. Gaddi hegi utthe je jaan waste? Uber magaiye?
Are we already supposed to just be there?
No, it's there, but we block it. It's all about refinding it. That's what Simran is. Remembering that you are Anand. Our question should be simple. What are we doing to block it? Or what do we need to do that helps us to unblock whatever it is that we can't identify to allow us to be there in that place? Ooche Oopar, Oocha Naao. And that simply just translates to higher than the one is the one's name. Because it isn't the thing that helps us to connect us back. The most beloved thing that we could ever have. When you praise Vaheguru in the morning, you're praising, the praising of Vaheguru for what he's allowed you to do is connecting to his name in that moment.
That makes sense.
Because it's a part of Vaheguru's Karani. No? So really, if you looked at it, then even the ability to taste, that taste itself is one of Vaheguru's names.
This is how you explained in the class that we praise Vaheguru through his Kirtan Nam, through the things that he does.
Kirtan Nam Kathe Tere Jehba. There we go. And then that moment of you saying the ability to be able to taste, that itself, the ability and the taste, has got Vaheguru's name signed upon it. Because Vaheguru has made that. Jeta Kita, Teta Naao. It's got your name on that. ਇਹ ਤੂੰ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਮੇਰੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਖੁੱਲ ਗਈਆਂ ਬਿਨ ਨਾਵੇ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਕੋ ਥਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਥਾਂ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ.
That makes so much sense.
The Guru does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we come back to our Ant Pauriyan, Ooche Oopar Oocha Naao. Now that makes sense. It's that story, isn't it? That ਜੇ ਰੱਬ ਇੱਥੇ ਖੜਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਾਇਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਖੜਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕੋਗੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹਨਾ
ਜਿਹਨੇ ਮਿਲਾਇਆ necessarily because if he wasn't there he wouldn't hear either.
This is what this is. Ooche Oopar Oocha Naao. It's that what helped me to realize and connect me back to you. That's greater for me.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah.
Evad Oochaa Hoveh Koe. If there is anything as great as that, then this Ooche Ko Jaanai Soe, they will know that one. You have to become that to know that. So when you're in true state of awe in that moment, you are that. You have known that one. There's no separation. That's why just Evad Oochaa Hoveh Koe. ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਉੱਚੇ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਣੋਗੇ ਹਰ ਜਨ ਐਸਾ ਚਾਹੀਏ ਜੈਸਾ ਹਰ ਹੀ ਹੋਏ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਹੋ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ you cannot be any less to know that one in essence ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜੇਵਡ ਆਪ ਜਾਣੈ ਆਪ ਆਪ the one knows how great the one is. And this is now Guru Nanak Dev Ji reciting from just the absolute place of oneness. They are there to say this now. Saying this from being there. When they're saying only the one knows how great the one is, Jevadd Aaap, Jaane Aaap, they are there in the Aaap to know that. That only when you are that, you can know that. Nanak Nadari Karmi Daat. And then I'm going to read this one out as well. Because we again, like I said, we love to highlight the translations that are being done. So that Nanak says that the knowing of the one is a gift from the glance of grace of the one. Kadi kete aana sochyu main kita. When you're in that place of no separation and anand of va, don't ever think I did it. Because then you'll separate again. And just say it's karmi daat. This gift came from your grace. Like, oh my God, I must have just accidentally fell into position and you spotted me and I got to see you. That's it. Somehow the choli was made and the grace fell into it. There's no real word for choli, is there? You could say bowl, you could say begging bowl. Like, there's no word for choli. I
don't really know.
There's no like perfect word for it. Like choli's got its own feel to it.
Yep.
And often choli came from ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਚੁੰਨੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ yeah that's it. It's literally that. And ਆਦੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਚੋਲੀ ਅੱਟੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਹਨਾ and that's what Farid ji is saying that ਮੈਨੂੰ ਭਗਤੀ ਦੀ ਖੈਰ ਮੇਰੀ ਚੋਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾ ਦੋ you know in the ਰਤੇ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਖੁਦਾਏ Shabad and the last pankti is that they're saying Sheikh Farid Khair Dije Bandagi. And this is, whenever I see this pankti, when I'm asking for bandagi, for devotion, is that I've got this joli out and just saying it bandagi di daat baksh do. And simply, what is bandagi? When you do something to remember that one with full intensity. If you're going to sit there and say, I'm going to do jap and say Vaheguru, it's only going to work if you do it devotion. Full intensity. Like even if you do it, then it's bandagi. Yeah.
Because even on a worldly level, we can't really achieve something if we do it half-heartedly.
Okay, so Sangat Ji, thank you for being part of this journey of our contemplation with Japji. And we're all on this journey together to get to that place, to that remembrance, and continuing to allow those blockages to become unblocked. That isn't allowing us to know that Oocha Thaao. Is there anything that you'd like to share, Benji, as we wrap up with the Sangat or myself?
I think for me personally, what I've noticed is, just as I said before, it was always the desire to chase something miraculous and extraordinary. And even though I think in itself this is miraculous and extraordinary, but it is also very ordinary, because this is our everyday life. Being able to see, being able to hear, even though we perceive these things as so normal, but they're not. Just, I think for me, being in the moment and appreciating it, appreciating life for what it is, has really helped me to see him.
Thank you. I take that as that I will personally try to look at life more miraculously, my every interaction in life, for it to be a miracle itself. Okay. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.